Well, joining us to talk about the campaign shakeup is Chief Political Analyst David Brody. David, Parscale was the guy who worked the figures on Facebook and to figure out how to win from a Facebook ads. What does this mean that he's being set aside?
Well, Pat, you're right. He was the digital strategy guy, and that was key for the Trump campaign. If things were coming to your cell phone and ads were popping up on Facebook, that was Brad Parscale for sure. What I'm understanding, what I'm hearing from multiple sources is that it was just time. And what does that mean exactly? Well, Brad Parscale had the Trump campaign's a juggernaut, but they need a political operative and a good one. That was not what Brad Parscale was specifically about. Bill Stepien comes in, and he'll be the guy that can go precinct to precinct, battleground state to battleground state, and actually put boots on the ground and resources where they need to be to take it down the home stretch. That's the play here. So Brad Parscale is not leaving. He's going to be within the campaign. He's going to be doing what he does best. But it'll be a tag team approach. Brad Parscale on the digital side, Bill Stepien on the political side. That's what the Trump campaign believes is going to win it for them in 2020. We'll see.
David, I really think that the winning hand is law and order. People are so disgusted with these riots and these mobs and the attack on the police and what's happening in New York City and the major Democratic-controlled cities. I mean, don't you think that that's going to give him a winning hand?
It should, and that's exactly what the president has done as it relates to messaging, if you can call it messaging, because let's be honest, Donald Trump every day kind of goes jigsaw puzzle on the messaging. But yes, Pat, that's supposed to be the message. Here's the issue for the president and why it's different in 2020 compared to 2016. Joe Biden is not Hillary Clinton. It just is that simple. It is hard to demonize Joe Biden like you could demonize Hillary Clinton. It's just true, Pat. As much as you want to talk about Joe Biden being to the left and the far left dragging him to a certain place, that's all true. The problem is that overall, after 40 plus years in public service, Joe Biden is considered a relatively nice guy. Hillary Clinton had a whole different persona with him. And that's what the campaign understands and is realizing that, you know what, this is different this time around. They hope Bill Stepien will be able to get the president's ear and be able to have a refined message. Because let's be honest, we hear about Sleepy Joe. But you know what? Right now, the mood of the electorate seems like Sleepy might not be too bad. In other words, there's so much chaotic situations going on left and right that Sleepy doesn't sound as bad as it originally sounded when Donald Trump did that months ago.
What about all this stuff about cognitive ability? Biden say, look, my cognitive ability is just great. Well, what do you think about that?
Well, the polling is showing actually that over the majority of Americans, about 55 to 60%, think Joe Biden is going senile. That's 55 to 60% of all Americans. That's not just Republicans. So it's clearly something Joe Biden is going to have to deal with. But if you notice, folks like the Lincoln Project and many other anti-Trump groups out there are trying to combat that by saying, wait, it's the president who is unstable. So there you go, Pat. We have a race where both candidates, who's the most unstable? Between the two of them. That's kind of what it's come to. I will just point out real quick before we go, the polls. Be careful on those polls. You know the deal. Yeah. That methodology is all messed up. Quinnipiac, the one that came out 52-37 for Biden, that was, not to geek out, but that was a plus 10 Democrat differential. And that is not exactly how the election typically will go.
What do you think? Is Quinnipiac, are they slanting the sampling group?
Right, exactly. That's what it's not just what the Trump campaign is saying, but it's just the facts. I mean, the facts is that they are doing a plus 10 Democrat differential in the election. But if you look at the 2016 election, Democrats showed up by 5 percentage points more than Republicans. But these polls, many of them are plus 10% Democrat. So it's skewed very differently. Not to mention, I don't want to get into a verified voter file, but some of these polls aren't actually talking and sampling verified voters. So this is all over the place. It wouldn't surprise me if we had another shock in 2020 on election night, but we'll see. Clearly, the president and his team need to continue to get their act together.